Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. And today I get to hang out with my buddy, HB Pasley, who is many things, many things. You're going to find out a lot about him. First, let me just welcome you to the show, man. I'll do the intro in a second. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's nice to spend more time with you. You've been fun to discover so far, and I plan to learn. I know that, but I'm learning about you today too. So this is reciprocal and fun. Thank you.
It's going to go both ways. One thing I love about you is your laugh. I love your laugh. HB loves to laugh. You're about to find out, okay? He loves to laugh. And I love to laugh. So we might just laugh the whole time, and that's what you get. You get what you get. Don't throw a fit. So you are at Pasley Commercial Interiors. That's the company,
Yep.
local to Colorado Springs. And you are the brand and business growth advisor for that
Yep.
organization. Can you tell us a little bit about that and the tie into coaching?
Yeah, the specifics, right to the point of this thing is that I joined my wife's firm over the last couple of years. She started a design firm back in 2013, evolved out of residential and many things that you might do in interior design. Loved working with business owners because their mind and their pioneering spirit and their needs were different than the residential interior design project. So we only do commercial interior design. She is a genius. She grew her business so fast that she had to ask her husband if he would consider coming on and basically running operations and all thing brand and that department. And I was already doing some business coaching, but I thought, I love my wife more than I love any of my clients. And so, yes. Yeah, my oldest son joined the firm. He's a junior interior designer, very creative, very powerful young man, 26 years old.
Seriously?
Yep.
That's
So
cool.
I didn't know I'd be in a family business at this point in my life at all. I have great respect for my wife's abilities and leadership. So I had, by the desire to protect my own life, romance, I left her alone.
Yeah.
But I joined the firm. So what happened was I just drug my coaching practice, which was very close to the art of branding. Mm-hmm. I drug it inside of the umbrella called Pasley Commercial Interiors. So I operate as sort of the systems and let's keep the business running so that my wife and the team can go out and be amazing. I do that because that's what I do for other businesses as well. I just do it first for my wife. And then branding is all about messaging and making the right impact with the people that you love. And so my coaching will sort of expand out sometimes and come over here. You may not need your interiors redone, but you still might need the interior of your value proposition, your website, and your practice or your firm built out. So I can work with you connected to or disconnected from a physical location. I hope that answer wasn't too long, but that's the present work of it. So in our firm, we do three things. We do full business branding, which we'll go through and explain that more, what that means, because I want to broaden people's ideas from just a logo. That's ridiculous. We do commercial interior design, hospitality, hotels, event centers, med spas, places that need to be sexy. And we're also a commercial furniture dealership, which is very rare in the design world. That's usually third party shoved over somewhere else. So we are a very rare, unique turnkey operation, the only one of its specific kind in the state of Colorado that goes soup to nuts from branding to furniture install.
Very cool. Now tell me this, because inquiring minds want to know, what have you learned working with your wife?
Man, oh man. I'm going to go straight to it. One of the things that I've learned in being in a family business, this is specific to working with your spouse. Now, Robin and I worked together for 10 years, nonstop, 24/7. When we first got married, we were in the ministry full-time, presenting music, sharing our faith, traveling all over the world. And we were both performers and writers and things. And now we learned a certain set of how to get along then, but we also developed habits for how to do a lot of things wrong. Mm-hmm. The second decade of our marriage was a lot of unwinding the stupid that I had put down in the first 10 years. And so now we're at the tail end. We're out of our third 10 years now. Has really been me relearning that when someone is a professional and has a gift, you have to learn in a family business to respect them and treat them and engage them the same way you would do with somebody outside of your family, because you still need to earn trust and be nice and learn how to collaborate and be a good listener. This has been hard for me because I'm very hard-headed
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
have the spirit of stupid gets on me a lot. So in the last couple of years, I'd say after 31 years of marriage, we have become much better at seeing each other
Mm-hmm.
as professionals, and then
Mm-hmm.
we can see each other as husband and wife, and we can separate those out better so that I can really tune into her expertise, and I can make sure that I'm not falling into some stupid prejudgment or that I know what you're going to
Huh?
say thing. You live with
Mm-hmm.
her, you think I know what you're going to say. It's one thing I've learned. I can't get away with that ever. I can never even insinuate that I know what she's about to say because it's
Right.
diminishing. She doesn't like it and it's
Right.
unfair. I shouldn't do it. So that's one of the
Man.
things that I've learned being in
Man.
business as a married couple.
Man, I can imagine that is hard. I think about my own marriage. I've been married 21 years, and you do start to paint over that person sometimes, right? Paint over
Yep.
them with just your preconceived notion of them because you've known them so long. It happens in families all the time, right? It happens with kids. It happens with, when I go to my family of origin, right? Sometimes it feels like they see me a certain way, and or I see them a certain way because it's like the past colored glasses that come with history. How do you break out of that?
That's a great question. I would say since you can't control what anybody else thinks about you, the only thing you can do is be the person that you want to become in their eyes. So if you want to be listened to better, you have to become the Olympic level listener who also shares, I'm listening. Like you have to
Yeah.
create things that are sort of obvious in their tone and texture.
Yep.
We have to become the person that we want to be in the relationship, which
Mm-hmm.
for me, because I grew up in a home where expressing deeper feelings, emotional reactions, or even stress or fear or anger, we didn't have a lot of tools for that. So I've had to learn that it's okay to share more words like, hey, what you just said makes me feel this way. It's not necessarily that it's in stone, but I'm just feeling something right now and I'm
Yeah.
uncomfortable with it. I didn't
Yep.
know you could say that.
Yeah.
Robin actually taught me that you could say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I overcome not painting a brush over her by thinking more about slowing down in my own feelings and processes. Actually, I'm a man, so I have to actually work hard to know what I'm feeling, because
Yeah.
I'm
Yes,
part
sir.
caveman, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I try to feel like what am I feeling, and then I'm instantly more aware that what we're doing right now is creating feelings in her, and I should probably stop and say, well, how do you feel about what we're talking about? Or
Yeah. Yeah.
before we begin a conversation, what's on your mind? Is anything grinding in the back of your head right now that might get into our talk? We've started just trying to be more open about that, the atmosphere of our world and communication, instead of just coming in and assuming I'm married to you, we slept in the same bed last night, I'll just start talking about whatever's on my mind.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I can't
man.
do that with anybody else in the world.
No, oh man, this is so good, and I know enough people that are working with their spouse that I'm sure there are plenty of people that really need to hear this because it does sound like a revelation to me. So that's good stuff. That's good stuff. So speaking of your family of origin, can you tell us a little bit about your origin story?
Yeah, by the way, I assume that's contrasted with the family of choice.
Oh, family of origin. Well, no, I don't know. I wish I was that deep thinking that deeply
Well, I
about it.
didn't
But
know.
yeah, yep,
This language means something to me.
yep,
When
yep,
we come
yep.
into a relationship with Christ, when we get transformed, we're brought into a new family.
Right.
And then you have this opportunity to choose, in some ways, who you will connect to.
Correct. Yep.
I'm riffing here for a second because I'm going to do the origin story, but
Yep.
there is a time where you say, I really want to connect to that person. I want to connect to this leader. I want this
Hmm.
person to be my comrade. And if you don't do some claiming, you just sort of float through life. And it's because you treat it the same way as your family of origin. You get to choose those people. You're just born in. You
Yeah.
can't bring that
Yeah.
mentality to your faith walk, and even growing as a leader, you can't just whatever comes down the pipe is what I get. No, no, no. You could claim somebody in another city you've never met before and decide that's somebody you need to connect to or have a
Yes.
relationship with. But you can't do that with your family. You just got to deal with that. So boom.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm asking about little child HB.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
yeah.
I'll connect my origin story even with some of my discovery of who I am. Like, how
Mm-hmm.
did God make me? Why am I who I am, today? Grew up in the deep South. Mom and dad were both very regular. They loved non-risky decisions and steadiness. They came from a steady generation. They got married in the mid 60s. I was born in 66. Go ahead and do the math, on that. And I was the firstborn among three brothers, but we were all 5 to 6 years apart. So it was kind of like we all grew up in our independent columns. They were very supportive. We did have a traditional Christian background, and I discovered Christ on my own in junior high, about 11, 12 years old. But the journey coming up was, I was a funny critter because I had dynamic creative interests, and I had only girl cousins. Talk about a beatdown at family reunions, Lord. But I was also fearful of things. There was some people are predisposed to be, I guess maybe that risk management got on me. I was fearful of things. I wasn't sure about things. I wasn't the first guy to step into a thing or be brave about something. I remember I my first job, I was turned 16. I got a job as a lifeguard at the YMCA in Prattville, Alabama. I didn't have my license when I started that job because my birthday's in August. My mom was dropping me off at the Y, like,
Mm-hmm.
Mom, park down here so I can walk in the front doors, by myself, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so cool because I would get to be a lifeguard, sit in the chair, swing the whistle, look sexy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, and the funny thing is, though, is what I loved about the summer wasn't being a lifeguard. That turned out to be super boring. What was fun was teaching swimming lessons in the morning.
Yeah.
Now, pause button. This is from a kid who failed beginner swimming lessons 4 times.
Yeah.
This is a shame event for my family. My dad was a strong swimmer. He was a
Yeah.
lifeguard coming up. I can't imagine being a dad and having a kid, your first kid, who you've already taught to swim. I can swim,
Yeah.
but I refused to jump off the diving board. It scared the crap out of me, and I would go into a complete meltdown panic attack. And so I couldn't pass beginner swimming lessons until he showed up finally on lesson, set number 4. It was over a couple of 3 summers. Okay. It was just an ongoing tragedy.
Oh man.
And he encouraged me by saying, son, jump. And then I did. After I worked through that panic, I just blew through the Red Cross stuff, and all of a sudden I was fine. But I had this panic attack. So when I was teaching swimming lessons, Johnny, I learned that I could see panic when it was starting to come up before it got there.
Yeah.
And I realized I was great at tricking kids out of their mental problems. And everybody in my beginner, intermediate, or advanced classes, they always passed. I mean, I could always get them through the problem. I could coach them through that thing because I could see it coming. And it was like a challenge for me to keep them out of the doghouse because I knew what was going to happen. I'd been there. So that's part of my origin story. And I connect it today because as a business coach, what's really happening is I spent my entire adult life with leaders and pioneers. Even when I was a young man, I was always pioneering and leading. And there's certain mentalities that leaders have and certain fears that they have. And I believe that I can generally spot leadership panic or that sort of reducing fear or concern or risk management in somebody who's trying to lead or pioneer a thing, sometimes before they can. Yeah. And I like to coach them through it. So that's sort of the nature of who I've discovered that I am. I don't know. I'm not just a coach. There's something in me that just needs to see people overcome to achieve the thing they're trying to get to. I really love helping people get to the thing that they're trying to accomplish. And usually you don't reach out for help unless you've come to the end of the line. Something's not working. You can tell, So.
Yes. Yeah. So I imagine there's a lot of work that you've learned to do with fear in the realm of fear in terms of being able to name it. I know for myself personally, just the last couple of years, there's a book out there called Living Fearless, Jamie Winship, which was, I read that probably 2.5 years ago now and was just life-changing for me because it gave me a new language for understanding fear, naming fear, recognizing when fear is in operation, for myself and for others, I think. What is it? How do you help people walk through fear? How do you identify? Yeah, anything you can tell me on the details of that?
Well, you do have to name it, don't you?
Yeah.
Identifying something that makes you, let's don't even use the word fear. Let's make it easier. Just what right now in this process, like I could ask you, Johnny, like in your journey, there's some things about you have some big plans this year. I know you well enough to know there's probably a board in your office with like the thing, a couple of points that you're trying to get to. I would just say, okay, tell me what you have most confidence in that you're going to hit here. And tell me what you're not sure if you're going to hit or not.
So I feel pretty confident I'm going to hit my exercise goal for the year, which is, working out. I'm on day 131 streak of days in which I'm doing exercise 4 times a week.
Awesome.
The thing I'm not sure I'm going to hit, which does bother me, is getting my book out. So I have a fiction book called Solomon. I'm trying to get the first installment of that book out, and I need to create a cover for it. And the cover has been hard.
That's the hardest part. But there's some parts of this book thing that really resonate with you. That's why it's on your goal list. Like it allows you to be yourself in part of it. Mm-hmm. But there's part of it that just makes you uncertain.
Mm-hmm.
What is it exactly? Is it the graphic design part, or is it even being able to imagine what the cover should say and do? What is it exactly?
It's different than both of those things. It's that the stakes are high. The book is not just my book; it's my family's book. My kids have been involved in it. My wife's been involved in it. They all have. Everybody agrees it needs to, like, the cover. My family loves the book. They love the story. I read the story to my kids at night sometimes. They love the story. And my wife loves the story because, this story's been in my heart since before we were married. So it feels like her story too, that I'm just writing. Right. So, and she's told me, like, hey, this cover needs to be worthy of the book.
You got stakeholder pressure. That's what you got here.
I do.
Yeah.
I've got some stakeholder pressure. Yeah.
And let's forget the book for a second. Let's say there's some other thing like a family vacation, right? Yeah. You're going to take a family vacation, and they task you with planning the vacation, and they generally trust you. But now you've got choices between a couple of places you've picked. What would you do to go about making sure that you don't blow it on the family vacation? Like, how do you keep the stakeholders happy in that situation to make sure, by the time you book the ticket, you're like, hey, this was the right thing? What do you do?
I'm going to involve, first of all, it's recognizing the people that care the most about the details. Oh, my son Jaden doesn't care, a lot about the details, but my wife does care a lot about the details, right? Like if we stay at a location that's, that feels icky, that's going to ruin her experience because she's a highly sensitive person. So understanding which stakeholder has the most of a vested interest in whatever the thing is that I'm picking, and then making sure that person is appropriately involved in that decision, right? Like I can look at hotels and say, this one looks nice. My wife can look at the picture and say, no. They're tricking you.
Yeah.
Right. So
now,
I need her.
Let's drop back to the book then. And then we're going to have to identify some stakeholders in the family, right? Because there's some.
Yep.
But you're probably going to have other stakeholders too, right? People that have done things like publishing or graphic design or have some professional input. What have you done so far in that arena to get the stakeholders into the process? Has that been part of your present solution?
It was part of the solution, but what I realized after talking with my stakeholders was I probably need to do it. So I'm also this is a point. So now, see,
what we're doing in conversations, what I would do with anybody to overcome fear. We want to name the obstacle and try to put language around it so it's not so mysterious. The fundamental is there's some pressure on you to not fail. Because if you fail in this cover, you feel like you're going to lose it somewhere, and you're going to lose face in some, potentially your sex life is going to suffer with your wife if you blow them. Okay. All right. I know. Stakes are high.
Stakes are high.
But what I might consider is this might require more conversation, but we want to find out, how did you get the news that you should do it yourself? I question that, because people like to give people with your power and energy the ability to go make decisions, but they don't really mean it. So we've already learned on the vacation planning, no matter what they say, just go plan it, Johnny. You know better. So I think you've got maybe a similar challenge right now in your journey, and this particular goal is the only way to be safe is to get experts at the table. It's like that proverb that says that there's safety in a multitude of counselors.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So if you want to be safe because you feel unsafe, then you need counselors. How many? A multitude. So the more people you put around the table of the decision-making matrix, no matter what they say, the more people you get around the table, the more confident you will become in the decision, and it will become just as fun as working out, because it's just a process of touching base. And you'll work through that sense that it's almost too much, and if I fail, I'm going to be thrown off the island, So I'm for you 100%.
That's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. I see it. Yep, I can see it. Man, that's the first time I've actually had somebody coach me on an interview. It's pretty dope. I like it.
Hey,
I like it a lot.
It's what we do all the time. It's because if you care for others, I'm predisposed to be listening for the things that's an obstacle. And there's no business. Look, there's no size of business. Just because you're the CEO at the top of some super elaborate, well-heeled firm, it doesn't mean you don't suffer the exact same mental problems and inhibitions and obstacles that the pioneer who just started a solo with a single assistant in their first year of business. You're going to be suffering some very similar items, but you just have to have somebody you trust that you can open up your journey, your process to. And one of the first things that I ask any business owner, regardless of what size and shape they are, is start naming the actual people that you've tied your lines of trusting relationship to, who can speak to you in a way to build your confidence.
Yeah.
And these are probably not people that you pay.
Yeah.
Now, there might be some in there, but they're probably people you don't pay per se that are willing to invest in your journey. The people you might pay, like you might have your attorney at your table.
Yep.
Sure, you might have your CPA at your table. You pay them, got it. But there's some other people you need at your table that builds your safety. So when you're climbing that mountain, you feel like you've got so many ropes tied on that even if you let go of the mountain one day because you just freaked out and have a stroke, mentally, you don't actually fall to the bottom because you have too many lines of relationship. And people trust experience, resume, and willpower way more than they should.
Yeah.
Right? I think the only thing that keeps you stuck to the mountain is your relationships of accountability and allowing people to be counselors for you. And if you don't have them, one day your willpower is going to give out, your knowledge will cease, right? And your experience will fail you, and you'll be at the bottom of the valley wondering what happened.
Yeah, man. How did you learn that?
Because I did it all wrong at least 5 times.
Yeah.
My claim to fame is that I'm so hard-headed. I swear to God, it takes me 3 times to do anything. I'm an experiential learner, which is positive and negative. It means I usually experience a lot of failure and then I come to it. The reason it's horrible is that people around me often have to be with me in my failing, and it's not fair to them. I'm trying to adjust, Johnny.
Yeah, I hear that.
But I'm experiential.
Yeah.
I had a guy, there's a real patriarch of the faith who passed away a few years ago, a guy named Jack Taylor. And he wrote a book called The Hallelujah Factor. Many people have read that book. They love Jack Taylor was a friend of mine. He was fond of saying, that thing that your dad would say, a job doing well is worth what, Johnny? Do you remember?
A job worth doing is worth doing well. It's worth doing well.
The first time. That's the saying.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
Well, Jack always liked to say, a job worth doing well is worth doing at least 3 times to get it right.
Yeah, man. Yes, because now you're prepared.
Yeah, I took comfort. I really have messed up a lot, but especially working with other humans. I wasn't built my original materials weren't built to understand and respect other people's journeys and speed and feelings, because I was built to be a pioneer, so I wanted to go conquer things. And then you start using everybody to help you conquer things, and you think it's awesome because the thing you're conquering is a big mission, but you turned out, you grind everybody up around you, it's no good. So
Okay.
the accuser of my soul spent a lot of time in my life telling me that I would always just grind up and waste people
Mm-hmm.
to accomplish something. And as my life is going on, I realize that's mostly accusation now, not reality. But because
Yes.
it's still in the air spiritually, there's still things that I have to contend with in the
Yep.
air sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's how I learned this stuff. I literally just made so many mistakes. I was just smart enough to make notes while I was making them. And so now I can transfer some hard learned lessons to others. And that's one of them. Getting isolated is one of the fastest ways to set yourself up for massive failure than almost anything else in the world.
Man, I love this so much. I don't even know. I don't even know how to say how much I love it. um, like I guess maybe I'll just circle some of the things that really resonate with me. Like even your first story, you failed. You failed the swimming class 4 times. I think you said you failed it 4 times, and you needed to fail it 4 times. You needed to fail it 4 times because the Lord's like, hey, I'm gonna make you a teacher. I'm gonna show you how to teach other people, and you're gonna need to have this in your backpack in order to be able to see what can go wrong with other people. I'm gonna show you what can go wrong so that you can see what can go wrong, and so that you can have compassion for people, and so you can have humility. Because it does sound like, and I don't get this from you at all. It sounds like you probably in your past had a tendency to roll over people. That's kind of what you described. Right?
Yep.
Like hard
Yes.
charger pioneer.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't get that. It's so funny, man. I don't get that from you. I don't get that from you in your current, 60-year-old iteration of yourself.
Yeah, thank God. I've just been through the grinder so many times, or I've been caned in public so many times. I eventually get it, Johnny. It just takes me a little longer than the other kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have slowed down my present journey. It's very strange. It took quite a while. This is another part of my story, but I'm in a
Mm-hmm.
place now where I still really crave the rhythm of usefulness because I love to
Yes.
have a useful place. I
Yes,
don't,
bro.
a little funky for me, right? Is it? I crave that. But I actually find a strange amount of pleasure just watching my sons succeed. They're in their mid-20s, watching my wife excel. Like if somebody just gave me a couple $100,000 a year, I just pushed it to $100,000. I mean, you can negotiate for lower, Johnny, if you want to consider this. But if somebody just gave me a block of money every year and said, "Do whatever you want to do," I don't think I would. I don't think I would pioneer anything. I would figure out more comfortable ways to keep being a cheerleader and a support for my sons and my wife. And I don't think I'd bother with anybody else because they're totally satisfy me when I look at them and watch them. Now, this may just be a dream. I'm just telling you how I feel. It's a feeling that I have that I don't need to go out and put my flag in another hill in order to feel like I'm in good shape. But I would like to be regularly useful.
Yeah. Yeah, man. You know how beautiful that sounds? It is beautiful because I understand what you're saying. You've been there. You've put your flags in the ground, right? You've done a lot of that stuff, and now you're in a season where you're content. By and large, it sounds like the pioneer is by and large content to be a cheerleader. What does God have to do in a man to make a pioneer okay with being a cheerleader? you know.
God, dang it, Johnny. You could pick easier paths in this conversation, couldn't you? Well, if that's not, is that rhetorical?
It is not rhetorical.
All right. If it's not rhetorical, then part of my story is that I lost everything that I thought was important for 35 years when I was 52. I'm about to turn 60 this summer. So in 2018, everything I thought was important from the time I was 17 years old up until then was removed from my opportunity really to participate. And it didn't feel like a removal with displeasure or punishment, but it was like an arc in my journey had come to an end.
Mm-hmm.
And that arc for me would have surrounded the the distribution of the gospel through the creative arts as a work for my entire life, and or working with those who were accomplishing the same work. Because as I became older, I became more of a mentor, producer, coach in that arena. Always the pioneering mindset, always the creatives, which means the crazy people. And that season came to an end, and I entered the fall of my 52nd year on this earth having absolutely no clue what to do. And I was so lost. I was depressed and just in a funk. It took me, it took years. Like, so part of me learning that it was okay to celebrate others and to not have a plan is because God wouldn't give me a plan for years and years. Honestly, today, I still don't have a plan. I've actually figured out in the last 8 years that there's just ways to stay useful and keep your hand to the plow and not give up and not completely go into day drinking and watching kung fu films at 2 p.m. You know, like I didn't have to keep doing that after a few months. Yeah. If I just stayed, I could find a great deal of pleasure watching the success of others. And it actually was a treasure. And I learned how many other people live here their whole lives, or they understand this is very content. It's actually very exciting because they weren't compelled to have to go prove either by carnal or spiritual motivations that they were conquering something or that they were in charge. So I just think I kind of got most of this. I got to it the hard way. I still pioneer, but I'm helping other people pioneer. I'm not helping myself pioneer. When I think about myself pioneering a reputation or a business, I actually get really tired. I just don't care. But if you let me join your team as your brand officer, I spin up to the next level. I take on, like I put on a cape and I get a totally different set of superpowers, and it's so fun for me. And I just want to stay in that as long as I can. But it's a very funny season in my life that's the algebra that I live in at the present time. I don't have any particular thing that I'm trying to do for me to make it, to make me feel okay. But most of it was through the beatdown. Yeah.
Man, dude, I just stand in awe of God and the way that he communicates with us through our lives, right? Like through your very life, through the life circumstances that happen to you, the Lord's speaking to you, right? But I also have been in seasons where it's taken me years to understand what he's saying. Or maybe not even understand, maybe accept. Maybe accept what he's saying. And so I can empathize with you in that 3-year period where you're describing, like, I don't have a plan. I'm the pioneer. I've always had a plan. Right?
I've always had a plan.
I know where to go. I know what to do. Yeah. And the Lord's like, yep, you get to win from the bench for a while.
Yeah. Different.
Yeah.
Different. And the hardest part, I think, is for everybody, because I'm not the only person who's told this story, but I watch what it does is that you have to resituate, even though you tell people the algebra wasn't there. A lot of the reason that you believe God loved you is because you continue to walk in favor and purpose, and a very specific purpose. So when you don't have the purpose, what happens? That formula now has to be rephrased. God loves me even if I don't have a plan. God loves me even if I'm not changing the world. God loves me if I'm not taking the hill. Yeah. I thought that was covered, but it was not. Not really.
Yeah.
Rediscovering, how does the Father feel about me? Where am I actually following Jesus to today? What are we going to be up to where he's pleased with me? What does that feel like if I'm not the lead duck in the V plowing toward Canada, whatever that is?
Yeah.
That's been quite an evolution, and I didn't realize how deep that would run. But it runs pretty deep. People get if you're used to being on the top of the pile, your pathologies are unknown to you. They can't be known until you're no longer on top of the pile. And then you go, oh, I was a butthole. You don't know, that was just me talking to myself. You don't know until you're not there. It's like a perspective. It's a forest for the trees kind of a deal. The multitude of counselors is supposed to help you with this, but you have to listen and be accountable. And I was better at talking about being accountable than I was at being accountable. I'm better at teaching lines of relationship and intimacy than I was actually having them. But, you can know a thing that's true and still not be able to walk in it super great. Doesn't make it not true.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Thank God.
So when I say this, when I say the words intimacy with the Father, what does that mean to you?
For me, it's the sense of walking good pleasure. Walking good pleasure is kind of like Brother Andrew in what's that book?
Brother Lawrence, Practicing the Presence of God.
Thank you. I knew as soon as I said it, I was like, wait a minute, I think I'm stroking out. It's my age. Yeah, Brother Lawrence.
Bro, literally picked that book up yesterday. I was reading that book yesterday, and I hadn't picked it up in 5 years. And you mentioned it, and you mentioned it on this call. That's crazy.
It might be on the shelf unless I gave it away. It's one of those books you can't help but giving. You know, you're like, oh, you should read this by Brother Lawrence.
Yeah, dude. Yes.
Yeah, so he found pleasure in the daily walking with God. He didn't have to accomplish. He was just walking with God, and he found pleasure. He could sing prayer songs while he's washing dishes. So for me, the great pleasure of the Father is the sense of fulfilling Christ's dreams for me, because his dream when he died on the cross wasn't to forgive me or to send me to heaven. His dream was that I'd be reconnected with Dad. And the work of the gospel is a reuniting with Dad. And I didn't know that growing up exactly. It didn't seat in me till much later. But so when I'm walking with it's like I spent time yesterday with my two sons. We went out on my pontoon boat at the reservoir. And we basically just hammed around. We didn't catch any fish, but we saw some, you know, and we did stupid things and we broke things and we had fun and we just talked and we ate food. You know, when I'm with them, I think that they just know that I'm just sort of effervescing with pleasure. I just enjoy their presence. They don't really have to do anything. And that's a nice feeling. It's nice to know that you can just kind of take a nap and you're in the good pleasure of Dad, you know, that feeling.
Yes.
So when I think about intimacy with the Father, that's all I think about is the walking good pleasure of the Father's presence, that I feel comfortable in the space.
Yeah.
When I'm not comfortable, it's usually because I've gotten into my own headspace and I'm contending with things and I'm not aware that he's with me, or I've decided he doesn't like something, whatever it is, you know, or I'm screwing something up that I think he's going to be greatly displeased with. So if I'm walking in intimacy, I'm just receiving the work of Christ and I'm just seated and I'm relaxed and he just still thinks I'm awesome. But that's for me. That's how I would look at it.
Oh, bro, I love the picture of you and your sons just hanging out, man. Hanging out on the reservoir. They're not wondering if you love them. They're not wondering, you know?
No.
Yeah.
No, because we tease a lot. There's a lot of sarcasm in our family. I was reminded as a young father, though, that sarcasm is not a good parenting tool because the kids can't figure it out. You know, they don't really know. That's some other jokes. like the time, I think it was Zane. He's probably about 10, and we were at the dinner table or something. I said, "Son, I just love you so much." And he turned to his mom and said, "Is that sarcasm?" And I was like, okay, this has gone too far. I realized. I said, I repent. I am going to stop teasing you boys about so many things. This is just wrong. I have laid the wrong foundations here.
Yeah, yeah. But you're reaping the benefits of the playfulness, right? You're reaping.
Oh my
that.
gosh, they've got to be the funniest people in the world. Besides my brothers, my natural brothers, they are the funniest two people in the world. My sons are close runners up, and they're competing right now to be the funniest people I've ever known.
They're trying to take the spot. Yeah, that's good, man. Thank you for sharing that about the Father. You just went right there, man. I asked the question. I was like, oh, this is a deep question. I didn't prep you for this question, and you just you didn't even miss a beat.
Free zone with Johnny Levy.
So my last question for you. What's your dream? What would you like to now also understanding that you're God's not giving you some big master plan. You're the pioneer who's on the bench and you're the cheerleader now. But in the context of that, what do you dream of? As far as you can tell, where are you heading? What's the mountain that you're climbing right now? That can be big mountain, small mountain. Just so that I can assemble people around you so that people can listen. Okay, that's where HB's going. Oh, I have a key to a door that direction, and then they can help you move that direction. I'd just love to hear what comes to mind.
It's very kind. Because we've already framed up so much of the rest of my crazy world, and I don't have to re-explain it, there is something right now that my wife has recognized it in me, and it's kind of a shocker. I love branding. I did not know how much I would love doing branding. When I was a business coach, I'm still a business coach, but there were several years and I'm working with all kinds of humans, especially in professional services. I was doing all this stuff around, I knew it was branding. There was sales messaging, value proposition, ideal client, the connectivity of this logic, and do you understand it, and can you relay it? So a lot of messaging. My career as a professional musician, I didn't go into very much of this, but I launched my music career by playing for 200 kids who were in trouble with the law in a juvie prison in Birmingham, Alabama. I launched it because that was the day that all of my white Christian friends at college decided they never wanted to do that again because it was the worst concert ever performed, okay? But when I got out of that concert, I was like, oh, that's it. God, that's it. I know I can do that better. I've got to do that better. Help me do that better. I mean, I immediately embarked on a journey to write different songs, think a different attitude, get a different haircut, and just get in there and figure out how to help those kids, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
So messaging to me has always been so important. So when I get with a business owner, I'm helping with them. Are you landing the plane? Are you getting your point across? Is this clear? It's clear to you, but it's not clear to everybody else. How do we fix that? So, but I would never say the word branding, Johnny, because I knew that people would go logos, colors, colors.
Yeah.
And I'm like, please God, don't ever use the word branding. I was talking to myself. My wife is who sucked me in and made me start doing branding work because many of her business clients coming in for interior design didn't have those messages, that value proposition, a confidence in their sales process. So what do? You don't introduce your husband as a business coach. That's weird. You just say, hey, my husband does some branding. It'll help you. And they go, okay, all right. Now I'm learning backwards. Like, I'm walking into my truth like, oh, I didn't know, So I got in there and I realized, oh my God, I love this because now not only can I help them with this stuff, but everybody knows they need a little help with their brand and they know it's more than their logo, but they don't know how to put it into words.
Yeah.
So I have a system now where I can help people put everything from their client experience goals, their storytelling and public messaging goals, their team culture goals. They can put all that under the umbrella of branding, and I can pull together a collaborative team of graphic artists and web design artists and other kinds of creative writers and marketing people, and I can put them in a room and collaborate to create the most amazing visual brands. So my goal right now is I really want to become great at business branding.
Yeah.
And I want to figure out a way that I can deliver that without the sticker shock that most businesses come to when they realize they need to hire somebody to help with their branding. Okay, they know it's a whole thing. And they're met with, it's a 10 grand pop or a 25 grand pop or a 40 grand pop, depending on who they are. And they look at that number and they're like, oh my Lord, here we go. I know I'm supposed to pay it and I got to bite the bullet, but I don't even know how to measure the success of this thing.
Yeah.
I've come up with a monthly, more of a partnership model that helps people pace themselves and feel like they're not going to get over their skis with their finances. But I want to become great with branding and storytelling because it really makes me come alive. Like I like it way more than I thought I did. And anyway, that's my present story. I can answer more questions about that, but that's what I'm really enjoying right now.
So you were looking for more opportunities to do that. And in your, how would that generally work? Or even answer this question: who should call you? Who are the people? Who's the ICP? In your own terminology, who is that person that you like to come across your desk?
Yeah, there's a couple of categories that would be easy for people to grab the handle on these doors. Okay. Because I know who the person is at the core. The core person is a pioneer who can't stop wanting to grow, but they've hit some sort of a plateau. There's something that they can't get through. It's like trying to get to the cover on the book that's perfect. They can see it, they can taste it, they know they have to have it, but they got to have more expertise, and they just got to figure out how do I get these people in here to help me, and how can I afford it, that thing. So that's the core of the person. The person who has a physical building, literally a retail store or an office building or a public facing, like we do hospitality, interior design. So I connect my first ideal client with somebody who has a physical space. And here's the news of the day, and this sounds horrible, but my wife doesn't mind if I say it. You should not spend $1 on furniture and interior design until you've hired and engaged a brand agent.
Wow.
Or you're going to have to do it every 2 years because you or your spouse or somebody on your team's not going to like it and you're going to renovate again. It's the same thing that people do with marketing companies. You change marketing companies every 2 years because you're just not happy. The point is you never got your sales story and your sales process right. You never got your value prop right. You didn't really understand your ideal client. Therefore, you're just throwing money at stuff. So in order to install an interior design, you have to be very clear about your overall sense of branding. So they're my number one favorite client. You got a physical space, and I'm working with a client. I love this couple. They're starting a new, I can't give you too much information, but they're starting, I'll say, a new restaurant in town. And they have such a great heart, and they've invited people to the table, and they're listening. They know that branding is job number one before marketing. They know it's before interior design. We're also doing their interior design.
Yeah.
The second client I think is my favorite client are people in professional services, because I love people who deliver strategy, not stuff. Now, I love stuff deliverers too. I don't have judgment. I'm just saying, if your job is to give wisdom and guidance and support, you could be an accountant, a financial advisor, another interior designer. You could be a lawyer. You could be a business coach. I love you because you're pursuing human beings for their betterment. And sometimes those people have the hardest time with branding because they can't personify or see themselves as a personality or a character that people want to trust. Or they think about the things that they do, but they don't think about who they are as they deliver them. Because people want a trustworthy person to deliver the thing that they need. So most professional services nerds just talk about the stuff that people need because it's the stuff. And they don't realize that these are big decisions humans are making. They want to know you. They want to know your story. They want to get inside the trustworthy stuff that's going on with you. So I love professional services leaders because I think I do a great job with helping them reframe their sales pitch, their language, their branding, their value prop. I have ideal client development tools that are nutballs, and I'm kind of proud of them because they work. My tools work. I don't have to go out and use other people's profiling systems. I don't have to run you through, 90 days of Myers-Briggs to figure out what's going on. It's good. I mean, all these tools are good. It's just, I think those are two of my favorite clients at this time.
Yeah. All right. That's it. I feel like I see you better after this conversation. I will say that you clarified something for me that was a lingering disconnect for me this whole call, which is what's the relationship between a branding expert and interior design? But now you're helping me see like interior design is actually a function of branding if it's done right?
Yep.
It's not just
does
the place look nice? It's does the place carry the identity?
Correct.
Right?
Does it help? I define branding. This is so important. I define branding as anything that helps your ideal client trust you faster. I mean, anything. So branding is a very comprehensive, holistic mindset. How we speak to them, how they first hear us on the phone, how they see us on the web, how they see us when they walk in the door, what they see when ads, what they hear from other people talking about us is part of our branding. And I try to help people take control of all of those things, even the way people talk about you. Certainly the way people see you, but that's that's the initial 1 second. Forbes did a study a while back. It takes 7 seconds usually for people to form a kind of first impression that they have a hard time shaking. So there is a limited window, and you have to use everything at your disposal to figure out how do I make the right brand, because you're really saying, how do I make an impression that builds trust? And since trust building, you know this, has been my trade my whole life, because if I'm going to go in as even a 19, 20-year-old, and I'm going to go into a prison or a drug rehab or someplace, and I'm going to start sharing a message of God's love and faith, I've got to figure out a way to build trust with them quickly so I don't get cornered into the Sunday school guy department.
Yeah.
Right? You got to break through and figure out how to be vulnerable, figure out how to tell your story, figure out how to connect with what people are really dealing with. So they'll just give you, all I needed was an hour and a half to do a concert. But if I didn't win you in the first 10 seconds, keep you after the first 3 songs so I could really unfold it over the next hour and a half, I lose.
Yeah.
And that's our same problem with branding. We have to win them, but now we have to keep them a little bit longer to make sure they understand that something good is coming, and then they got to stay with us for an hour and a half. Sometimes professional services firms take years to deliver their value.
Yeah.
So this is actually not a single point proposition. It's a lifetime proposition for many of my clients to create and maintain that trustworthy connection through branding. Through branding. You can see why I love it so much, right? I spin up into all kinds of stuff. Like my head goes, woo!
Yeah,
But I
I can
also
see
get
it.
to do creative things, so it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah. Man, HB, I have deeply enjoyed the time with you today. Thanks for hanging out, man.
Thank you. My pleasure. I hope something in this was useful for somebody.
There's a lot of good nuggets in this one, man. There's a lot of good nuggets. And for anybody who stayed with us up this point, I thank you for coming and thank you for sticking with us. And I'll continue to bring you people to inspire you. So take it easy, everybody, and have a good day. Later.
Thanks.